And I'll begin with the Iranian president having stressed the importance of fulfilling Tehran's demands for the continuation of the Islamic Republic's cooperation with remaining signatories to the 2015 nuclear agreement. Hassan Rouhani, who spoke with his French counterpart via phone, also said the European Union's proposed package on a continuation of cooperation under the nuclear deal does not cover all of Iran's demands. Rouhani called for a transparent operational program with a specific timetable to compensate for a U.S. withdrawal from the agreement. Rouhani also spoke with the German chancellor in a separate phone call. The Iranian president described as disappointing the bloc's package of economic measures. He said the package lacks workable solution and is a set of general commitments like previous EU statements. And now joining us out of Ontario, Canada, is Mr. Jason Unruhe, political commentator. Hello, Jason. Nice to have you back on the program. Now, Jason, your response to Europeans, they act like they're going to stand in front of the U.S.'s unilateral decision to pull out of the JCPOA. They seem they're going to make a firm stance at first. Now they're coming with this lukewarm package to try to appeal to Tehran. Tehran's not buying it. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that this is a pretty predictable tactic. Iran was guaranteed certain things under the JCPOA agreement. Now, Iran, as repeatedly certified by many bodies, has lived up to its end of the agreement. Now, the United States unilaterally pulled out and is not going to live up to its end of the responsibility, to its end of the agreement. And Iran has made a very fair statement saying that they want to remain in the agreement if the remaining partners want to keep the agreement going, as they have already said that they do. I mean, all the other signatories have said they want to keep the agreement going. Then Iran said they need to be compensated for the loss that they had as a result of the U.S. pulling out. If they cannot get those guarantees that they were promised as a part of the agreement, then there's no reason for Iran to be there. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Now, I can understand what the European powers are trying to do at this point. They don't want to actually put out enough to live up to the U.S.'s side. Maybe they feel like it's too much, or maybe they feel like they can't do it, or maybe they just don't want to. So they give this lukewarm package to try to incentivize Iran to keep within the agreement. But Iran has made it clear that it wants the things that it was promised to be a part of the agreement, and they agreed to do so. So it seems like the Europeans are just trying to offer Iran just enough to perhaps agree to stay on the package, but not live up to the terms of the agreement which Iran signed onto. I think it's very much a case of none of the European powers really wants to make up for what it is the U.S. withdrew, and perhaps they're fighting among themselves trying to decide who it is that's going to make up or who's going to supply what. So they're not really cooperating on this level, but they still want to keep Iran in there, so they offer them this package, which is frankly insufficient.
So when it is insufficient in Tehran's eyes, what do you suppose will happen? We're at a fork in the road. Do you think the EU is going to gravitate toward Washington's position, or do you think they'll come up with a package that's, something that will please the Iranian side?
I think that the European powers will eventually come to some kind of consensus to make a deal for Iran that does live up to the original agreement. I believe that the European powers do want to really keep that agreement in place despite U.S. attempts to sabotage it. So I think rightful heads will prevail in this situation, and the European powers will make up for what has been lost by the United States, because it is well within European interests to keep the agreement going, because rarely have we seen agreements like this where the other side, and the disadvantage point where Iran would be in this case, that even want to be in the agreement they have, but they seem to be in it now.
But Jason, you got quite an unrelenting guy there in the White House that seemed that he's willing to put as much pressure as it takes on his European allies to get them to conform to what he sees fit for his global outlook.
Yeah, that seems to be the economic game of chicken that Trump is playing right now. He places tariffs on something and on some country, and they place it back, and then he places another one, and each of them inch closer towards an economic crisis. It is very much akin to a game of chicken. Who is going to flinch first? And I think that while the United States can wield significant power in this situation, I think the collective force of the Europeans might be enough. And I think that's the case because a lot of the European powers have frankly had enough with the actions of the United States at this point. They are sick of the nonsensical tariffs. They are sick of the sabotaging of international relations. They're sick of the, frankly, just poor leadership coming out of the United States. So this might be a case where they will keep up that agreement with Iran, if not to perhaps spite the United States, but to in other words, undermine the credibility of the United States. So this deal was here, we lived up to our end, you are the dishonorable one by leaving, etc. Because in this point, scoring moral points over the United States is quite easy, given the situation that it's in.
Thank you for joining us for your and with your input. That is Mr. Jason Unruhe, political commentator there, joining us there out of Ontario, Canada.